How you doing today?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Happy Memorial's Day.
Hey, blessed,
That's right, that's right,
full of food, family, and fun.
that's right. This is 89 on up home, homie moms right here. And we just want to ask her a few questions on the mother aspect on the street gang shit. Cause no one really haven't really touched on that recently right here on the channel. So basically when when I first started gang banging and being in the streets, what age can you recall?
Maybe 13 or 14.
And where was we staying at that time?
Um, 625 Hyde Park.
Okay. And what goes through a mother's heart when she finds out her son is in the street, his life is on the line, it's dangerous every day, it's a possibility he can go to jail, you might not see him no more. What goes through a mother?
First of all, we think of ourselves as being a failure to our kids. Or maybe we didn't pay attention to the warning signs. But every night that you hear a police siren, you hear gunfire, you hear people running, you hear arguing, the most you can do is just, where is my child right now?
Right, right. So that's kind of like goes through every mother and parent's mind and thought and heart at that time.
And it does.
Right,
That's a reality there.
right. So when the habits occur, the street habits occur, how do you intervene as a parent? Do you feel like you should tell them something, let them go, free them up, or what?
Well, you know what? At at that point, at certain points, they do become rebellious. They feel that you're always on their back. And so when you say no, they find other people that will say yes. And those people became more so the family, and they became more susceptible to the yes than better than the no norm.
So how do a parent learn to work around that and adapt to a son or a daughter living that lifestyle? How do y'all guys adapt with accepting them eventually?
There's no way of adapting to anything. You just go on with your life. And it's not that you shutting them out, but you have extended them the help that they needed, the different avenues, other family members. But sometimes it comes a point that you don't want to let your 13 or 14 or 15-year-old child go out there into those streets. But sometimes we just have to.
So what about when they move into their mid-20s? How do a parent feel when your son is still, it's decades later, and he or she is still doing the same thing? Where do your heart feel from 13 to 22 years old?
Well, the game has changed. You're a little older, so whatever you do, you are going to jail. And sometimes the consequences could be very severe. It could be very heart wrenching for the parent and also for the child.
Do it be sometimes that a parent be happy that they son or daughter went to jail when you know they was living kind of a dangerous, rough life at times?
Well, you know what?
I'm not saying particular
But
you,
but
but do parents probably think of that sometimes?
but you know what? Just keeping it real. Now, I've heard other parents that they thought about things like that, but like my mom and dad used to tell me, leave it in the hands of the Lord and let it run its course. It's just those times that sometimes we just have to back up as parents. It's not that we're bad parents. It's just that we have given all we had and we still have lives to live too.
So what about when they start getting shot in the street? What do a parent feel when you find out your son or daughter was shot on the street and you get a word or get the news of it?
When it happened to me, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. I just screamed and cried and called my mom and dad to come to me and other family members to gather, to hear that my son was shot. that is something that a parent doesn't want to go through, and thank the Lord that my son, he was spared. The Lord was looking out for my son.
So when do a parent get a kind of a sense of relief in a son and daughter? When do they get a relief with a son and daughter? What when they finally have a kid, can sustain a roof over their heads, or when do you guys get a kind of a break to say, well, maybe I can kind of get a little rest and sleep a little bit sometime?
But you know what? With that, there's so many different answers for that. First of all, just because he or she has had a child, they live in their own and doing whatever, it still doesn't mean that they have changed and really accepted the responsibility. But you would know actually the real signs of they have decided, as the old people say, buckle down.
And say they kind of cool with the
And
gang
when they
thing.
say they kind of cool with the game, you know, because like it's just like this. The game hasn't changed. It's just a little bit more high tech. That's how it is right now.
So what would you tell a mother dealing with a young daughter or son that's 13, 14, 15 years old, that's in the street life? What advice can you give them to kind of like deal with a situation like this?
Well, it takes a lot of family support. And I did. I had my family. And my son knows how our family is. And all of us stood together through thick and thin. A few times I had to let him go because I had another son too, and different other things had occurred. But I never gave up hope on my son. None of us gave up hope on him at all.
And how do you feel when your son or daughter goes to jail?
That's another hard thing when you have to go down there to see them and wait for them to call your name, and you only get a few minutes, hoping nothing doesn't happen to interfere with the visit, and you can't even give them a hug or a kiss or anything like that when it's a family member to reassure them. It's hard to
Just
reassure
knowing
through a
how
piece of.
dangerous it is inside
Yes,
that jail
yes, it's the same thing as being out on the
street,
streets.
right? It's ruthless.
Yeah.
So that pretty much sums it up. And what about his friends, like his homeboys? How did you feel when he first started saying, or he or she first started saying, "Well, this my home girl, this my homeboy"? How did you feel about that?
we we as parents try to pick friends for our kids, and those are not the friends that they want to be involved in. But each and every time I would see them, they treated me with the utmost respect, knowing that they knew that I knew, but they treated me with respect. They knew everything. They knew I knew everything that they was doing. I could just know. A parent knows. Even if it's not your child, you know what they're doing.
Could you say some of them was good guys that just got trapped inside the game at that time?
That's true.
You can
Some
tell
of,
you was able to, a parent is
uh,
able to recognize who's good and who's not
oh
good.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
and you can. It's just though you just got caught up in the moment, and you still caught up in the moment.
Okay, that pretty much sums it up. So, well, as you being my mom, and this is my YouTube channel, 89 on up, homie, how do you feel about me right now doing my thing? Know that I kind of changed, and I'm aiming for more change and better change, and I still love my homeboys and homegirl, despite of all that I went through with living that lifestyle, fighting amongst them, fighting amongst other people, just going through the riffraff. How do you feel? What type of character am I to you today?
The same character as I thought of you when you was a little boy, when you started off. It's still just something special about you. You have a lot of work to do ahead of you. and your ability to help and be creative and your own entrepreneur and to have sons of your own and on the right track with them and and like they say, behind every man there's a woman. So right there, it's just like this. It's just like the village. It takes a village.
So with that being said, it take a certain type of female to deal with certain dudes that walk this life and live this lifestyle. Because we do get spoiled because some of us lived a hell of a lifestyle where we had everything catered to us, things our way. So we learning to adapt with what we got and make the best of it. And before I close this, I want to ask you one more question.
Go ahead.
Okay. So with your other son and you having two sons, are you proud of the work that you put in on us despite of the rough times? And we proud too that you stuck by us.
No matter what,
Yeah.
no matter with both of my sons going to jail, both of them being incarcerated, I would tell them always, I am always proud of you. And I really would say that to them, that I'm always proud of them.
Right.
And I've always been proud of
Right.
them.
And
You
then
know.
just as me just being in the street interviewing you, as my mom, I was as I started getting in trouble because I didn't understand the discipline at first that you was giving me through it all. But as I started getting in trouble, I was kind of wishing the discipline continued because maybe it would have kind of changed my thoughts at times. But I just want to say, tell all the parents out there, stay with your foot down on your kid, because
Yep.
despite how we talk junk, we need it, man. And that's what's wrong with today. A lot of parents kind of give their kids a pass and be slacking up, and then we be looking like, damn, what the fuck is going on? But we should have kind of kept the discipline rolling that y'all kind of implemented on us to make us better people today.
One thing, be a parent. Don't be your kid's best friend. And that's when it gets confusing because they say, you my friend, why are you disciplining me? Stay the parent, not their friend.
And we gonna close it like that. 89 on up, homie. Much love.